Well, good morning and happy Saturday, everybody. Oh my goodness, we got a busy day ahead. I'm fixing to go get my hair cut at 9 o'clock this morning. Yep, I gotta leave here in a little bit to go get a haircut. George will go with me. We'll probably go to Tractor Supply. Yeah, George walks around when Daddy's getting his hair cut. He knows all the ladies. Yeah, huh, George? You want to go to Tractor Supply and see Cindy? Oh, yeah. Anyway, we've been on the phone with his mommy for a while this morning. And I said, I got to feed this crew, and then we're going to go. Oh, a big bird from Larry. Thank you, Larry. Anyway, Limu and Emu just left. Yes. And Tina the turkey. Oh, and Mo just did one. Thank you, Mo. Tina the turkey just left, George. Yeah, I just put out corn for everybody, and Tina the turkey came out. And then Barbara and Jenny went running down to see her. Yes. Anyway, I've been having fun talking with Eva this morning, remembering my childhood in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, it was so fun to talk to John yesterday. Thank you for welcoming John and Bonnie to the family. Yeah, George. We'll have to call John in a little while. My buddy. Yes. Daddy's boy. Anyway, folks, I wasn't raised in a normal household. Nope. And neither was John. Yeah, we lived in the woods outside of Fort Lauderdale at that time. Now it's downtown Fort Lauderdale where we were raised. But when we were kids, we were outside of town. Yeah. Fort Lauderdale was east of us. Yeah. But from the ocean, we were only maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles. The length of the runway on the Fort Lauderdale airport goes from our neighborhood all the way to the ocean. Yep. The planes take off over the ocean. The prevailing breeze comes in off of the ocean. So the planes take off into the wind. And when they lift off the end of the runway, they're over the ocean. Yeah. Anyway, that's where we were raised. If you Google map the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, you'll see I-95 runs right up the west end of the airport runway. And the employee parking lot for the Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, there's 2 parking lots for the employees, are on the west side of I-95. We were kids when they built I-95 in about 1967, 66, 67. They built that. Yeah, and that divided us from the airport. Back then they had airplanes, and then they went to jets. But the jets would come in to land at the airport into the wind. They would land over our house. They would come in over our house and then land on the runway. Then they built I-95, and then they made the runway longer and longer and longer so they could get bigger and bigger jets. And they ended up buying our entire neighborhood because they said we were in a crash zone. And every now and then a plane would crash in the neighborhood. Yeah, that was the news of the day. All the kids would ride their bicycles down to see the plane crash. Yep. Anyway. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, we had a big piece of property just like this one here. All oak trees just like this. And I had a pig named Porky. We raised him and bottle fed him. The Game Commission brought him to us because his mama had been shot during hunting season. And so they brought us this baby pig that its eyes were not even open yet. And we had a cockapoo, a cocker spaniel poodle mix, little bitty black dog. And that pig slept with the dog. And we bottle fed it, but the pig thought that cocker spaniel poodle mix cockapoo Her name was Pee-wee. Porky thought that Pee-wee was his mama. He snuzzled right up against her, and from the time his eyes first opened, that was his mama. Yep. Well, Porky ended up weighing about 175 pounds. He was a full red-hair razorback boar, but he thought he was a cockapoo. Yep, he had never seen another pig before. Yeah, anyway, he was our guard pig. He ran loose in the yard. The dog said, "This is our property. This is where we live. You don't let anything come across this line to come in here." And so it was no problem. Whenever she would go into heat, none of the other neighborhood dogs came to visit because Porky had chased them off. He didn't care how big they were. Yep. Anyway, you know how UPS and the postman and all those people, they would pull into our yard and they would honk the horn. They would not get out of their vehicle because I had my Dewey Duck, which was my big white goose, and Porky the Pig, and the Cocker Spaniel. I had a herd of animals, would meet them, and they'd stand right by the driver's door and dare them to get out. Yep. So all the delivery guys that came to our yard, they'd just pull in the driveway and honk the horn, and that included the mailman. Yep. We had a wild bunny rabbit that weighed about 15 pounds, and he would run up and pee on your foot if you stood in one place too long. Yeah. Anyway, we had a whole bunch of critters. I had pet raccoons and pet armadillos all living in the house. I had 5 skunks. Mom made me keep them outside in a cage, but yeah, George. Anyway, Wild Kingdom. I've been having fun remembering the crazy way I was raised with a house full of critters, owls and hawks and all kinds of stuff living in the house. Yeah. Anyway, love you all. It's supposed to rain starting about 1 o'clock. We can use the rain. Yep. Henry. Oh, another big bird from Mo. Thank you, Mo. Yeah. Anyway, it was fun talking to John yesterday because he was raised. Oh, and George is doing a big bird too. Thank you, George. Yeah. John was raised in a place just like ours. Wild Kingdom. George. Yeah. Daddy's got to hurry up the story, George. I'm happy that we got the phone all cleared off so I can make long videos. Yeah. Anyway, John was raised on a big piece of property just like this one, covered in trees. And he lived in a huge boat that looked just like Noah's Ark. If you drew a picture of Noah's Ark, that's what he lived in. But it wasn't in the water, it was on dry ground. His dad bought a tugboat from the 1930s that was being retired, and they had pulled the motors out of it down in Miami, and he towed it up to the New River in Fort Lauderdale, and he had a piece of property just like this. And he dug a canal into that property, and he floated that big tugboat up the canal into the middle of the property. And then he started filling the canal in. Well, when you fill the canal in with a bulldozer, the water level goes up. And he positioned the boat exactly where he wanted it. He raised it up to the level he wanted it. And then he pumped the water out and the boat settled into the ground. And they had made a big fish pond. Yep. Way bigger than the one we've got right there. Yeah, but they made a really nice fish pond. Yeah. Anyway, John's dad was a dentist, and they had about 7 kids. Yep. And I don't remember if it was 7. They had at least 5. Yep. Anyway, John had a lot of brothers and sisters all living there. Yeah, in a great big boat. And his dad took a chainsaw and cut a hole in the bow. It was a wood boat. Cut a hole in the bow and put in a front door. And they poured the floor with concrete. Oh, Larry, thank you very much. Oh, we're getting big birds from everybody. Yeah. Anyway. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, they raised goats. They had a goat barn. And when we were kids, John played guitar, and we had other friends that played guitar. And when we wanted to have a party, we had to clean the goat barn. Yes. And John was raised on goat milk. Back in the good old days. Yeah, George. Anyway, blast from the past. Anyway, love you all. This has been long enough. Thoughts and prayers for everybody that needs them. Erica, let us know you're doing good. We miss you. Yeah, George. Hey, George. Say, I love everybody. You betcha. Anyway, thoughts and prayers for peace for the world. Welcome to George's World to everybody. Yeah. Remember to stay safe. Wash your flippers often. Love you. Bye.